Hey there, lovelies. I hope you're well. I wanted to talk about anger again in this video, and how that is probably really showing up right now. And I mean, it might not be for you, but I guess this won't land in front of you if it's not. And anger is quite prominent really in spring. If I relate that from the body, this is liver time. It's the gallbladder. And I've mentioned this before, and it's the liver is the organ that really is our deep internal relationship with ourselves, whereas our stomach is more our external relationship with the world. So it's really deep stuff which we can ignore or try and be busy to avoid it. And I can only come from my space in terms of how I act and how I recognize my patterns and things to share. And so the liver is about anger, it's about hurt, bitterness, and when it connects to the heart, to the back of the heart, it's betrayal. So there's a lot of emotions there, and also the liver being a sponge, it absorbs as well. And so as a child, the whole world is around you, evolves around you, and it's because of you can take on a lot of anger that isn't yours. And so you could be holding a whole load of anger that you have taken on, and you may have been the peacekeeper in your family. You may have tried to find harmony, and you've taken that on to try and create peace and to try and make yourself feel more safe in the environment, yet you have given away a part of yourself, as it were. It's a bit like if you see a sponge sort of clogged up. And this can also be going through humanity, and it's called imprinting. Science is recognizing it, that trauma and emotions can carry through our lineage. And if you think of what has happened to humanity for thousands of years, it's not been great. A lot of suppression, a lot of betrayal, a lot of anger, fear, all this aspect, which is the shadow side of humanity, of our existence, of what humans are like. So not only are you right now dealing with your own shit, you're also dealing with humanity's shite as well. And if you haven't got great boundaries, which can happen if you're very much of an empath or you're quite open to the energies around you, you'll be absorbing other people's stuff as well. So don't be surprised if things are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, more anxious, and you're highly triggered. I mean, for me, I'm feeling like a litmus paper at the moment. The smallest things are really peeing me off. It's the simple thing of, if this is normal, just the preemptive text, and you're trying to write something, and it keeps correcting you, and I'm just like swearing at my phone, and just silly little things really, but is triggering. So for me, that is saying to me that my nervous system needs calming, it needs self-regulation, it needs grounding and space to process. So the liver is like the heat, is the wood element of your body, and if it hasn't got enough oxygen or enough air from your heart, from awareness and space and attention and reflection, it can simmer. And I have felt it, like I've visualized, just connecting into it like a smouldering piece of coal. And you can imagine the damage that creates as it's smouldering, and you can imagine anger can be like that as well. And it's interesting, as I was running, which is really good, movement is really good for the liver. It's like a sponge, it absorbs, it contracts, it absorbs and contracts. It's like a sponge, if you can imagine it, filling up with good light and then squeezing it, and it's releasing the dirt, everything that is filtered and taken on. And I was doing this running experience, and I kind of really gave it oxygen, I gave it light, and that ignited it. It created a flame. But that flame was very nourishing, because it was starting to burn away my old shite, this old plaque, this only like layering that's just holding and compressing and suppressing me. And it just felt like, you can imagine the phoenix, the rising up of the ashes. It's that clearing. It's very cleansing. Fire is very cleansing. I know it can be very destructive, which is fear, but it can also be extremely cleansing, and it brings life back. If you see a forest, forest fires, if it wasn't due to climate change, fires are needed to clear the dead wood, to enable new growth to come through. So a lot of what I'm alluding to is that actually anger's a good thing if you can use it to come back into self-reflection, to understand what is happening for you and what is to be processed, really. And so many of us, you just want to come to a space of peace, but you're bypassing a huge process that has to happen emotionally. And anger, actually, underneath that is a huge amount of self-love, huge amount of self-worth, trying to get to the surface, to be heard, to say that you are worthy, that you deserve better, that you are beautiful, that you are enough. And it's trying to come up and break through this, to really allow that light. So if you just imagine that energy, that anger, that betrayal really starts to transmute, to allow that to come through, saying, actually underneath this, even if you never think you're enough or think you're good enough, that anger underneath is love. That is the fire that is trying to catch through you, to burn away this old stuff that's blocking your happiness, that's blocking your joy. And I would say it's really a good time, especially everything. It was all a bit quirky, shall we say, in terms of what's happening energetically, what's happening out in the collective. We need to really have healthy boundaries, and that's not barriers. That's not about not feeling something. It's being aware of it, but also being aware of where your attention is going and where your energy is going. And we can really drain ourselves out without us realizing. And it's really setting the intention and drawing your energy back into you, and focusing and setting intentions of where you want your energy to go to, which is a lot to do about the solar plexus, that energy to create focus and clarity of mind, and rather flitting from one thing to the next, it helps you channel that energy into movement and to processing. So I would say my advice, from what I have to do, is if you're feeling triggered, if you're feeling just pissed off all the time, and tired, maybe, or just overwhelmed or fed up, or whatever it is that's kind of kind of feeling, take some time for yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a treatment, that's reliant upon somebody else or seeing a friend, because that's again somebody else's energy. You need to really kind of find time for you that's really just your space, and nature is like the most beautiful way to do that. In fact, I had a bit of energy and I was feeling this irritation, and I thought normally running is a really good way for me to process that, which it was the other day, which I helped to do that visualization and cleansing my body. But it felt actually I needed something much more nurturing and calming to really soothe my body. And I've just been for a sea swim, and it's been bloody lovely. And I'm sitting here resting, allowing my body to just come back into a state of stillness, which is really, really important. And that's your parasympathetic nervous system to help self-regulate and calm your body. And it's just so easy, if you're naturally one for being fight, flight, busy, stress, cortisol, is to push even more into that space, because that's our comfort, that's our norm. However, that is actually probably fatiguing our body even more. It's putting our adrenals into more pressure. So actually it's coming into more of a self-nurturing process. And if you are feeling really angry, if there are things coming through, write them down. That's an never amazing thing to do. And just don't even get into your own head. Just let it flow, whatever it is that's coming up to you. Just get pen to paper and channel it through to the point it will be a complete scroll, and you haven't even no idea. You can't even read but you've allowed yourself to channel it. And then go and burn it. Go and spread the ash out into the earth, and just, with a little intention or mantra or prayer, or I release all that no longer serves me, joy or purpose. I forgive, I release myself, I release others. A huge forgiveness is incredible. Even though you might not feel it's something that's forgivable, you know, that's probably the next sort of level. First of all, maybe it's about letting that anger come up, to let that self-love come through. It really depends on where you are on your journey, but anger is not something to be bypassed. It's being mindful of it and what it's bringing up for you, but also having that self-regulation to help you not necessarily externally expressing it all the time to out towards others, because that is then becomes a fear-based rather than love-based. It's internal, if that makes sense. So by allowing that anger to come up is processing that love for you. When you start acting out in anger towards other people, that's fear, and that's a difference. So I hope that's been helpful. Be gentle and be compassionate to yourself. If you are feeling triggered, feeling like this litmus paper where everything is just pissing you off, like presumptive text, or your dog eating crab sticks on the beach, you know, just kind of, I'd shove her in the car for that one. She's getting on my nerves. So it's, and again, it's, I guess it's selecting who you're around as well, and the environment that you're in, and again, that's healthy boundaries. Okay, and if you need to walk away from something, then do that. Just give yourself that space, give yourself that time. So I hope that's been helpful. Come into self-regulation, get onto the Pajama Revolution guided meditations, which are also on Facebook and the Infinity Health Hub platform on YouTube. So just come into what feels good for you. All right, and take it easy. See ya.